Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? I know a guy who thinks the specialty he drinks negates the negative health effects of his pack-a-day smoking habit. What's this specialty? I think might have smoked one pack too many. Stupidity. Amazing. Girl in my class asked the professor if other countries have moons, too. This is so innocently stupid, and it's my favorite. Only if it was a teacher, not a professor. This is actually concerning. It was Lori Loudon's kid. I had a guy at work tell me that Benjamin Franklin was the 100th president because he's on the $100 bill. I mean, we are only on the 45th, so he could be right one day. In another 200 years a kid may well be named Ben Franklin unironically. Teacher, Ben Franklin unironically? BFU. Present. I went to school with a girl that legitimately thought 9/11 was done by German Nazis. Pretty sure that was 9/11. I know a guy who vaped mercury on a dare. Out of everything in this thread, this one's the most fucked up. Where does one even get mercury for vape? A girl in my sophomore year of high school who thought there were 6 months in a year. She was really nice, but very surprised and confused when we tried to set her right. How did she get to high school without someone setting her straight? Well, you see, she got there in half the time. A girl in my class in middle school genuinely thought people had landed on the sun. Her explanation for this belief was to insist that the moon and sun are made of the same stuff. Well, yeah, protons, neutrons, and electrons. You can build a lot of wacky shit with that, though. Protons, neutrons, electrons, and morons apparently. Morons, the missing piece to the standard model, found at last. I had a boss who told me that she never kept leftovers from a meal because that's how polio got started. All that pre-cooked food in the supermarket, it's all polio. I remember proofreading a paper for a freshman my roommate had the hots for. It was on Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal underscore, but somehow this freshman didn't catch that it was satire. The opening lines of the paper are burned into my memory. Eating children would not be a good thing to do. In fact, we could say it would be bad. Well, we could say that, but would it be true? He had just purchased a new, high-powered BB gun. We had just finished shooting it in the backyard when he points the barrel at my face and pulls the trigger several times. I tell him to stop being an idiot and he just laughs and says it's not loaded. Then the moron puts the barrel in his mouth and pop, shoots a BB right through his tongue and into his uvula. Oh, so it's a girl mouth. Now that's a reference. I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms, but she insisted it wasn't. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kilograms, that it finally twigged that these two small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. Bold move asking her how much she weighs. Pure frustration. A guy at a job site said this to me in all seriousness. I'm quoting, semicolon, if Hitler had put all the Jews on the Titanic he coulda saved himself a lot of trouble, semicolon, I felt like I had a stroke. Also saved himself a lot of trouble is a scary mundane way to describe genocide. A girl at my high school didn't know you could get pregnant from cum. So, she learned that when she got pregnant. Please tell me she didn't. Unfortunately that's exactly what happened. I used to work with the nicest person I've ever met, but he was also the dumbest. Even though he had been there over a year he couldn't do anything beside washing dishes without someone watching over him. He just could not figure out how to do anything on his own. Someone, usually me, would have to watch over every little thing he did to make sure he was doing it right. It would have been frustrating if he wasn't the nicest damn person on earth. He was always so happy to see you, and did everything with a smile on his face. Luckily he could wash dishes like a fucking beast. I'm not exaggerating when I say he could wash dishes faster and cleaner than anyone I have ever met. That's the reason he would do other stuff is because he washed dishes so damn fast we'd have to find other stuff for him to do. His wife was normal and all his kids were doctors or engineers. They were all crazy smart. What was kind of sad is that he knew he wasn't the smartest. but he was so damn nice. The fact he knew he wasn't the smartest actually shows he's pretty intelligent in at least that specific way, and humble. Most dumb people have no idea they're dumb. This is probably the only person in the whole thread who I actually look up to. Kind of makes me wonder if he used to be actually smart and then suffered at B. We hired a girl a couple years ago. I told her where the manager's office was her first day. Second day, she asked me where the manager's office was. So I walked her to the door. Third day, she asks me where it is again. Our manager chewed out the girl who trained our new recruit for not teaching the job properly. The trainer pulled out her phone and showed the manager a picture of the girl wearing the uniform backwards and said, "Look at this. This is untrainable." New girl got fired about 3 weeks later for stealing the product because she thought she got it for free because she was an employee. This reminds me of a girl I like to remember as Muan. She would just glaze over and leave her body when you delivered the most basic instructions. It was not a hard job. She hugged me when I fired her 2 weeks later. RELEASEME. One time my now ex-girlfriend was watching Maury Povich, one of those paternity test episodes with the classic "you are not the father" moment, and she turns to me and says, "If we ever have a baby and I found out I'm not the mother, I'll kill you." Thankfully we didn't end up reproducing. You just randomly bring home a baby. Congratulations, dear, we've had a child. Don't worry, it's yours, honey. I live in southern Spain. I once met a girl from the US who was here on some kind of exchange program. When I asked her how did she like Spain so far, she said, "I'm loving it. I just don't know why the plane took so long to get here. I mean, we are just a bit below Mexico. I don't know why the flight was so long." Then I told her that we were in Europe. And she didn't believe me. Her reply was, "Europe? It can't be. Everyone speaks Spanish, so we must be somewhere near Mexico for sure." She was in uni. I still don't know how or why. Lol, how the fuck do you join an international exchange program without even knowing where you're going on the fucking map? Some people glide through life with a guardian angel preventing them from walking into traffic or some shit. Totally. I remember another time when in a convo she said it was a blessing in disguise. I then told her, "Don't you mean a blessing in disguise?" She got visibly upset and told me that she was pretty sure that the saying was a blessing in disguise and that since English was her mother tongue she must knew better. Sigh. That really is a r/bony portier. A girl in my art class in high school thought there was just a part of the cow called meat. When we explained meat is the muscles, she freaked out and became vegetarian. Half of my science class thought that the International Space Station was just some building on the ground. Ah yes, the International Land Station. I was working retail at the time, and this lady walks in and asks me to tell her when it is 10:15 a.m. she needs to catch a bus. We were slow, so I obliged. 10:15 a.m. rolls around and I tell her, so she drops her stuff and runs out to get the bus. 5 minutes later she comes back, it's scowling, and she then lectures me on how to tell time. How much is a quarter? 25 cents. So why would you tell me a 10:15 a is 10:15 a? It's 10:25 a.m. Tell her that her bus is late today. It will be in at $3 to 11. A friend of mine is a sweet guy, but is overweight and balding and quite frankly, not very attractive in the face. Well, one day he lets us know that he has met a girl and she might be the one. He's in his late 20s for reference. Well, I've met some of the jewels he's hooked up with in the past, so I wasn't expecting too much. Finally meet this girl, and she is drop dead gorgeous, and has a body that is incredible. I talked to her for a while, and she is super friendly and outgoing. I'm stoked for my boy. He found the best he's ever gonna find. Anyway, the night progresses, and the new couple starts talking about their plans for an upcoming trip to New Mexico, and she starts telling us how excited she is, because she has never gone to another country before. I laughed a bit, and realized she was dead serious. My friend just looked at me, and shook his head, and I knew that he knew. She was dumb as a fucking rock, but she was his dumb fucking rock. FWIW. He helped her get her passport. Did they stay together? I need to know. Yes, married now and breeding. Hopefully they get her looks and his brains. They thought dinosaurs were fictional. I knew a grown woman who thought that dinosaurs never existed, are a hoax that is being perpetuated through time by scientists trying to be in on the joke. Her main argument for this point: if dinosaur bones are real, tell me why it's only ever a paleontologist that keeps finding the bones. HMN. Not a whole lot of part-time retail employees finding dinosaur bones in their spare time. Well, that proves it. My first ever girlfriend thought you had to study for an STD test. She was really pretty. Did you guys enjoy New Mexico? Okay, now this made me laugh out loud. Yes we did. My former boss was worried that the island of Manhattan would sink with all the extra visitors for New Year's and the ball dropping. She thought islands float, and when she found out that wasn't true she thought it was so funny that she told everyone the story. She was later fired for withholding a pay raise from someone on her team because he didn't accept her sexual advances. He had the texts to prove it. Removed. I'm late but car dashboard reads 40 miles to E. My car says in 40 miles. We'll be going east. Oh god. I currently work with this person. Didn't know detergent existed other than Tide. Was washing her clothes with Downy and was wondering why stains weren't coming out. Made illegal right turn from left lane in front of 2 different car walkers at different times. At the age of 20 had already totaled 7 cars. Got customer complaint that she was constantly on phone and tried to hide it when manager was near. Left a nasty lint roller on the counter covered in fake hair. I hate fish. I've never had fish other than fish sticks. Asked how old I am. The next day asked if I was alive in the 90s. Doesn't know an address or what city she lives in. Didn't believe me that California has snow. Described how she made tacos once and she put water in it and it turned into meat soup. Customer said they lived in the boondocks. She handed a poster to coworker that said, why do people here live in the boombox? Australia is part of the United States. She got that and Alaska confused somehow. Thought Hattian was half Asian, half black. Coworker brought in a cake and he told new girl he made it. She believed him despite the price tag and retail packaging. These are all things she said to me or within earshot of me. I wish I were making this up. How is she still alive? I have no idea how she survived this long. It's almost impressive that she totaled 7 cars and didn't die. She died. She was just too dumb to realize it. I remember a guy I knew in middle school who put money into a vending machine and then his item didn't come out. Then he put more money into the machine and 2 of the item he wanted came out. He then exclaimed, alright, 2 for 1. Man. I remember a guy in middle school who would put money in the vending machine and then sell the item for less money because he thought that's what making a profit was. When I was in the Air Force I was the lead trainer / certifier in my unit. When a new person would show up, I'd watch them do the job, answer any out of the ordinary questions etc. And when I felt they were ready, I'd sign off saying they were qualified. This all happened after they finished a 6-week school learning the job. The 73 troops I trained took on average 3 days to complete this phase. Then there was that one guy. I took him under my wing, non-stop for an entire month. He'd mess something up one day and we'd correct it. No big deal. The next, he'd get it right, but get something else wrong. Then on the following day, mess up on the first thing we had corrected. Bear in mind that he has a step-by-step checklist in his hand that lists everything to do and in what order to do it. After a month of this, I figured there was nothing I could do for him. Maybe it was my teaching method. So I handed him over to my supervisor. They spent another 3 weeks together until he was finally certified. A month and a half to learn what should have taken 3 days. Personally I really liked the guy. Had a good heart. Didn't give up after the setbacks. And probably the funniest non-comedian I've ever met. He was just a bit dense when it came to the job. The job was refueling jets, which is really about 2 degrees harder than filling your car. A chimp could do it and probably learn in less time. Miss ya buddy. Hope you're still doing well. I like how nice you are about it and how you acknowledge that he was a good bloke. A lot of people just disparage those who aren't as skilled as him. Good on you. Thanks. I always try to put myself in others' shoes and have always been in some sort of mentor-like position. I think those two go pretty well together. White girl didn't think she could get pregnant because the guy was Mexican. Swear on my life.